Face Off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams. Ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face Off on Fox Soul starts right now. In this round, here's Quan LX.
Charles, we just watched a video, I believe it's out of Mississippi, of a young child, a young Caucasian white kid on a school bus, obviously coming from school, looks like something in the evening time. And he was being physically assaulted and physically beaten by one or two students, maybe three in that video. I don't know all of the real facts surrounding what took place beforehand and after, but this poor child was not even attacking or fighting back. This child that even appeared to be the aggressor, this child appeared to be someone that was just being brutalized. And it really makes me sick to my stomach to watch because somebody should have stood up and helped that kid. He's being brutally beaten. And if we as black people would watch the same video of a bunch of white kids beating the hell out of a black kid, we'd be angry as hell, we'd be outraged, and we'd be demanding justice. Well, I want to challenge our brothers and sisters today. If the facts come out that this child is absolutely a victim and was not the aggressor, and this was not mutual combat or self-defense, well then why don't we raise our voices to demand justice for that little white child also? Because that is somebody's baby, that's somebody's child. To beat that kid like that, man, is disgraceful. And I fought the school district because I've said this for years. There should be at least two adults on the bus, the one driving and the one on the back, chaperoning and watching everything to prevent situations like this.
Yeah, I appreciate your point. This was a story that I saw initially on Twitter. The video is floating around. Then I went and researched it, and I can only find one local news story. This happened a few days ago. But the tweet that first brought my attention to it was from the political provocateur Ian Miles Chong, who goes by Ed Still Gray. He's got a prominent Twitter. And although we don't agree on a lot of stuff, we are in real life friends. I know him personally. He lives in Indonesia and is a fascinating character because from a foreign country, he has built himself a large space in American conservative media. And he made the argument that if this same situation occurred, but the racial roles were reversed, three white kids beating up a terrified, much smaller black kid, that there would be marches, there would be protests, there would possibly be riots, there would be an incredible outsized amount of media attention that led with headlines that said things like, 3 white kids brutalize innocent small black child, right? And in fact, you don't see any racialization of the very limited coverage, right? You don't see anyone talking about, because you shouldn't, right? And we shouldn't extrapolate the actions of these 3 black kids to all black children or all black people, because it's unfair, because they're 3 individuals. But they're equally, it's individuals when you see it going the other way, and that's never the perception. But that young child looked terrified, right? If you look into their eyes, not only do they not look like an aggressor, they look to be much younger, or at least much more slight and smaller in stature. And I don't know about your bus experience, but my bus experience, you would have, kindergarten through 6th grade on a bus, 7th and 8th on a bus, then 9th through, 10th or 11th, 12th graders typically aren't riding buses. But you would have a large age range. You would also have people that would break up fights, whereas nowadays it was just cheering. And that's what broke my heart the most, was it seemed like the bloodthirsty at a Colosseum in ancient Rome, right? Cheering and filming this child just being brutally beaten. And, at what point do we as Americans say this is not acceptable for our children, whether they're black, white, brown, or Asian? It's not acceptable that this have become the norm in so many public schools in America, where there is brutality without consequence. Now, there'll be consequence now, right? Because you got a bunch of media attention, social media attention, you got a video. But then you look at like California, where there are war zones in their schools, and they're also trying to strip kids of the ability to have a phone to record.
But
abuses.
Mr. Ian is right to some degree, but he's wrong to a greater degree.
Okay.
Mr. Ian from Indonesia. First of all, we just had a big case here in the United States of America where 3 white young youth were charged with killing a black youth and drowned the kid. And they all got a slap on the wrist.
Okay, how about the black kids that beat the white kid to death?
Got a slap on the wrist.
Vegas and got
that
a
didn't
slap
make
on the
national
wrist.
news.
Yeah.
There was no protest.
We actually talked about it here.
Exactly, but there was no protest.
Okay.
It didn't make mainstream national news outlets outside of ours.
Okay.
I mean, so he's wrong in that sense. The problem is this country has to get back to some of the very fundamental principles that we all were raised by in this country. When I was growing up, Charles, if my grandmother, my uncle, or my Aunt Marie had to watch that video and I was beating some little white kid like that, they'd have whooped my ass. They'd have whooped me. They'd have came to the bus and whooped me when I got home, and then gave me another when I got back to school. We have gotten away from holding our kids accountable. That's the problem. And it ain't really based on race no more, man. I see white people and black families letting their kids dictate the discipline now and letting their children run the homes and the schools. We got to get back to letting parents be parents, and we got to go back to holding our kids accountable, man.
Well,
that's horrible what we witnessed.
Stomping on people. You want to talk about other incidents. So we had the teenager who was beaten to death across the street from his high school in Las Vegas. All those kids got these sweetheart plea bargains. There was stomping. You saw stomping here. Kids need to stop emulating videos they're seeing on social media.
Oh, but you said it was not video games, remember?
No, I said videos, not video games.
Oh, video games was behind that, too.
Pay attention.
There's more violent video games and rap videos.
Well, you know what? We need parents parenting again, damn it.
Did the test. One dude said, well, don't say that in front of Mr. Knight because he's going to take it offensive and hurt somebody. I said, well, whatever it is, I probably would take it offensive when somebody would. You know, that was me in those days. They used to have these guys, they used to call it the boiled egg test. They could take a boiled egg, a raw boiled egg, and have those guys put their pants down and bend over and they stick it up their ass. The eggs break, they say they're not ready yet. They ain't put enough work in. This is Hollywood. So everybody want to go act like they don't know what's going on.
Hold on a second,
but
Suge.
if you just look, all you got to do is
I have never heard of anything like that. So if I haven't heard about it, just assume a lot of people haven't heard that before. But you think it's on video?
Let's stop for a second.
Go ahead, Suge.
Yeah, listen, and also, have you ever been to any puppy parties?
No.
You sure they had a long time to think about it, but if you haven't been in those butt-naked parties, even some of the preachers been in those parties, and they wasn't on their knees praying for God. See, they was praying for somebody to have come real quick or something. But I wasn't there, but there's proof of it. But at the same time, everybody want to look around and act like something going on that wasn't right. It's the facts of life in the industry, not for the people who don't get in. So, everybody, you got to look at it like this. You see a beautiful woman, or you see a handsome man, and it was like that all their life. From elementary school to junior high school to high school, if they forced to go to college, right? They always knew they had something special about themselves. If you take some of the Hollywood executives or some artists, they might have been the ugly duckling for a long time before they had the teeth fix and lipsticks and nose fix, all the work done.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
All right, Quanell, that was Suge Knight on the phone with Chris Cuomo talking about either making up stories or telling the truth about what is going on at these Hollywood parties, what is on these Puff Daddy videos. He had mentioned, if you look at the whole interview, he talked about Bieber, he talked about Snoop, Jay-Z, very common household names that he thinks are somehow intertwined. We've talked about Bieber before. Clearly, if he was involved as a victim. But it's disturbing. Now, I don't think Suge Knight is the paragon of truth. I think this is a lifelong criminal who terrorized and tortured people in the music industry and took advantage of some people. And obviously, him and Puff Daddy have had a long-standing beef. Remember him, Suge, making fun of him, what was it, the Source Awards, famously, where he's talking about how he's not in the videos, dancing, but if any of what Suge Knight is saying is true, and I do believe some of it is, it paints a horrifying portrait of the world that made Diddy into the monster he became, and the world that Diddy created to, basically defile other people. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's why we shouldn't be listening to Hollywood tell us in flyover states how we should be living.
I believe that Brother Suge Knight, who's currently in prison, the founder of Death Row Records, one of the most legendary, most successful record labels in music history to come out of hip hop. I believe he made a lot of valid points and told the truth about a lot of things. He mentioned Jay-Z and Snoop in reference that they're not opening their mouths and defending Diddy to any degree when they allegedly attended some of these Diddy parties. He spoke about preachers attending Diddy parties, Bishop T.D. Jakes. And he's speaking about these men who partied with Diddy, who have not been indicted for anything, who won't open their mouths and say what their experiences were with partying with Diddy.
What, do you think they're complicit?
But wait a minute. He also spoke about those white music moguls and white music executives who created that bald egg test for men to put in their rectums, and if it didn't crack, he ain't put in enough work yet. Wasn't nobody black setting them standards in Hollywood, in the music industry.
No, you don't know
Let's
that.
tell the truth, man. He mentioned Clive Davis. He mentioned Jimmy Iovine. He mentioned those prominent white male figures who have been the super freaks in the music industry, with cocaine, drug parties, Molly drug parties, Valium drug parties. You could go to these rich white music moguls parties and Hollywood figures parties, and cocaine would be everywhere, and women would be everywhere. They would bring women in for these parties. That did not start with P. Diddy. P. Diddy went into their world, and he learned that behavior from them and then brought that back to our community. And the brother became a super freak with what he had learned. If P. Diddy is Frankenstein, let's indict Dr. Frankenstein right along with him. Those rich white music executives and those in Hollywood are not being held accountable like Brother P. Diddy is. If he's guilty, he has to pay for the sins that he committed and the crimes he committed. But why are we letting all of these white super freaks who created the standard of freakism, child molestation, sex exploitation in Hollywood before P. Diddy was even born, we don't touch them?
I don't think you can racialize. I mean, speaking of super freak, Rick James, the freakiest of all time, happens to be a black
man. And who made
man.
Rick?
Well, the thing is, there is some whispers and some allegations that possibly Clive Davis introduced Sean Combs to a different lifestyle. There is a lot of speculation, but a lot of it's empty. But the thrust of these indictments are crimes that Puff Daddy brazenly committed, right?
Well, why is he the only one indicted? If all this took place at these parties, why you're not indicting his quote-unquote co-conspirators who participated in those crimes at those parties?
So,
P. Diddy should not be the only one in jail if you're indicting him based on what took place at parties.
Okay, here's the thing. It's about moving women across state lines. It's about coercion. It's about drugs.
And if you have sex with those women, you are guilty too. If those women are giving drugs and you have sex with those women, you're guilty too. So my question to you is, where are the co-conspirators, white and black, who partied in these sex freak-off parties with Diddy?
The first one arrested in this investigation was a white drug mule on Diddy's plane way back
Man,
when.
stop. Quit
Okay.
BSing. We
I'm
talking
not
about the
BSing.
prominent people who was
Okay.
partying in
So-
those parties with
so,
white and black.
Only white famous people.
White and black, I said twice
Okay.
now.
Okay, the
Hell,
truth is
why are they not in jail?
that I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to
No,
see.
you're not.
I think we're going to see more people
No,
get
you're
in
not.
trouble. I think they're going to cast
Do you
a
know?
wider net.
Do you know that you got powerful politicians who also partied with Diddy?
Okay.
Black and white.
And Epstein,
Black and white.
Republican and Democrat.
But let me ask you a question. We have yet to see everybody on the Epstein list now, haven't we?
You're right. And well, I mean,
Why in the hell that list is still kept secret when Miss Maxwell, Epstein's co-defendant, is in prison and Epstein is dead? Where's that list
we
made
need
public?
to see a list of all the names. Apparently, Diddy, much like Epstein, was engaged in surveillance of the people at his residence, getting freaky. We don't necessarily need to see the video, but we need to see at least an accounting of who these people were and what they were doing.
And that'll never happen.
No, I agree.
And that's why I don't
agree,
think
but
Diddy will ever go to
it's-
trial.
I don't think it's
I don't think
racialized.
Diddy
I think
would
it's
ever go to
power
trial
versus powerlessness.
because could you imagine Diddy's witness list?
Well, no, I think that Diddy will absolutely
Could
go
you
to trial.
imagine that witness list?
I think that Diddy's only avenue to not go to trial is if he can flip on someone of a larger stature, which I don't see someone out
They
there.
all in the videos with him.
Or he takes a plea bargain agreement that limits his exposure that is offered by the government for the purposes of protecting people that they don't want exposed. I mean, those are
And
the
you and I
very real
both know
possibilities.
those people, some of those same people partied with P. Diddy.
Yeah, and they partied with Bill Clinton, they partied with Epstein, they partied with everybody.
And I'll
but
say
us.
this last but not
Hey.
last
Hey,
here.
hey, did you pass the egg test?
I'm a black man and I'm a black Muslim. You don't play those kind of games with us. We'll take your head off your shoulders.
Okay.
In today's Face Off Up.
You know, Quanell, Travis Kelce, who is not our face-off F-up, has been struggling this season as compared to his prior campaigns and on the gridiron. He's just not had a whole lot of numbers. He hasn't caught a lot of passes. He hasn't been throwing a lot of passes, although his quarterback, Mahomes, is defending his performance. But the guy who is our face-off F-up of the day, that's Antonio Brown. Now, we all know he's got CTE. We all know he's prone to say a little crazy stuff. But this was his thoughts on Travis Kelce. Let's see the tweet if we can, Matt, please. Travis Kelce needs some black, I'm going to say vagina, but we know the word he used, bro washed. So it is Antonio Brown's position that Travis Kelce is struggling, not because he is more senior in NFL years, not because he's getting double teamed and not getting as many looks from Patrick, but because he is sleeping with one of the whitest people alive in Taylor Swift. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Quanell.
We all know that brother Antonio Brown has had some serious mental health
No,
challenges.
will black vagina
And
make you play football
brother
better? That's what
Antonio
I'm curious
Brown
to.
is one of the greatest receivers to ever play in the NFL.
To ever walk off a field mid-season.
In fact, could have been one of the greatest, perhaps, had he not put his foot in his own way.
Right.
So I pray that brother will get himself the necessary help that he needs.
Can we get to the facts?
And I pray that brother will make the recovery necessary.
We ain't
from
got a lot
such
of time. Can we get to the story?
Devastating injury.
Is a black woman the magic that Travis Kelce needs to get back
It's
in
a
his
fact
game?
when Travis Kelce was dating black women, his production was much more greater and much more successful on the field. It is true since he's been with Taylor Swift, the production's been on a downward spiral.
But do you think it's a
now you have to
causal
understand,
connection?
when you look at the two black women that I'm aware that Travis Kelce dated, those women so fine you could make a ship sail on dry land, brother. Them women so fine, let me tell you something, man. It's unreal how fine them sisters were. So when you look at them beautiful, fine sisters, and he's now with Miss Taylor Swift, Miss Ironing Board backside, Miss Flattening Back, no frills, no
Why
frills,
does
straight
her
up, straight down,
appearance-
Miss 6 o'clock. Let me tell you something.
What does the
I can see
robustness of
I
her
can
butt
see
cheeks
why
have to do with
Travis'
anything?
performance has taken a downward spiral. Let me say this to you, man. Do you know the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice? Do you understand that that black gold mine of a black woman, that pink meat, that punani that has scaled down from the heavens? Do you understand what a black woman's magical juices would do to a white boy.
Okay.
I understand why his performance has dropped. I understand why he's not the man he once was.
So when
maybe
you were dating a white girl,
maybe he do need to
when
go
you were
back
dating a white girl, did
and
you
check
see
on
your
them
performance
sisters
drop?
that he left, huh?
Did your performance drop off when you were with a white girl?
When I was in high school, my performance dropped tremendously when I started dating that white girl. You know why? Because I walked out to her car and I watched her tongue kiss the dog her mama drove up with, and at that point I was no damn good.
You think her affection for
I was
her
no
dog?
damn good. I had never watched a black woman kiss a dog in the mouth. And I watched Becky kiss that dog in the mouth, and my whole world was turned upside down.
What does that have to do with the efficacy of sleeping with a black girl to turn around your football game?
Now let me say this. You have
If
white,
it was a better looking white girl, would it have the same result?
Let me say this.
So if it was a white girl with
finish.
some badunkadunk junk in her trunk,
let me be honest with you.
how about a black woman?
Let me be honest
if a
with
black
you.
woman gets white penis, does she do worse than what if
because
she
it's
gets
too
black
small.
penis?
It's too small.
If a white,
but anyway,
if
because
a
it's
white
too small,
woman gets black
no.
penis, does she
But
have
let me
more
say
energy?
this. Traditionally, normally, white women are more exotic in the bedroom than black women.
Okay.
It's true that white women are more
Shout out,
quote-unquote freakish in the bedroom than black women.
Exotic white women.
Because black women have been more, culturally conservative in the bedroom. But white women will let them straight up suck a golf ball for a water hose.
I think Sexy Red and Cardi B would differ. I think they would argue this point with you.
No, if they hooked up with a white man like you, they'd be like this.
They'd be walking bow-legged
No,
for
they
a
wouldn't.
week. We know what's going on over
wouldn't.
here.
No, they wouldn't.
Hey, Travis Kelce.
They'd be going like, is it in yet? Is it in yet?
Come on.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.